Hello and namaste from Hyderabad, India. I am Save the Frogs founder, Dr. Kerry Kriger. This is the June 27th, 2025 Save the Frogs grants discussion, and I am here to answer your questions. I don't have any presentation planned, but a couple weeks ago, I gave a presentation on the ultimate guide to writing successful Save the Frogs grant proposals. You can go to savethefrogs.com/grants to find that video. I encourage everybody to watch that video at least one time before applying for a Save the Frogs grant. Savethefrogs.com/grants has all the info on our various types of grants, of which right now Amphibian Conservation Award applications are being accepted through July 1st, 2025. And I expect that to be the main focus of this hour-long grants discussion, hour max, that we have going on right now. I can answer your questions. I can review your proposal and give you feedback on it. And anything else, go ahead, chat it in or unmute yourself. And everyone, please chat in. Where in the world are you? Let's see who's here. We've got Margot from A Frog House, afroghouse.org. Check out her organization's website. She's in Rochester, New York. And we've got Yogeshwar from somewhere, I'm not sure where, Alpha from Livonia, New York, on Conesus Lake. That's got that Ithaca Greek sound to it. Is that what you have up there? Greek names, I believe so. And hey, that's everyone. We've got Jacques, Save the Frogs grantee and Save the Frogs Day organizer from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Hey, Margot, I didn't mention as a Save the Frogs grantee, volunteer, Save the Frogs Day organizer, eco-tourist. We've got Zerihun from Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, or somewhere else. The walled city. I can't remember the name of that city, but I know you've got a walled city with some what's in there? Hyenas, I believe. And we've got David from Save the Frogs Mexico, savethefrogs.com/Mexico, Save the Frogs grantee, Save the Frogs Day event organizer, and he organized an events of mine that were not Save the Frogs Day related when I visited in Tabasco via Hermosa, Mexico. We've got Yogeshwar from India. Where in India are you? I'm in India as well, Hyderabad. And we have not had any questions come in. Do people have, if you have a question, chat it in. All right, Chennai. All right, I've been there. You got a good music festival that takes place at the end of December. And actually, I spoke at Chennai Snake Park, I believe it was called, and I helped, I cut the ribbon on their, what was then a new research building, and had another event there as well. We've got Tariq from Dhaka, Bangladesh. I've spoken at Jagannath University and University of Dhaka in Dhaka, among other places. SaveTheFrogs.com/Bangladesh. Go check it out. Hey, we also have SaveTheFrogs.com/India. And we've got Al Amin Sheikh doing research on the effect of chloropyrus. I can't remember how to say it. What's likely a bad pesticide, and the effect on amphibians. I believe that was you. We spoke today. Hey, everyone, you can contact me, Kerry at savethefrogs.com. You can write in at contact@savethefrogs.com. You can interact with other Save the Frogs community members in our Discord server, savethefrogs.com/Discord, DISCORD. Hey, Margot, yes, it's there. Margot doesn't like the name of Discord because it sounds so discordant, I guess. Namaste, everyone from Anju in Nepal. Hey, namaste. I was up there recently. I'm curious if you were at one of my events there. We've got SaveTheFrogs.com/Nepal. I was told, it made me happy, that Save the Frogs Day is actually the second largest or most popular environmental event in Nepal. I thought that was pretty amazing. All right, to let you all know, Hey, Save the Frogs gives out grants. We've given out, I believe, $178,000. Hey, thank you, Margot. You are pretty amazing yourself. And thank you for that. Margot has been helping to save frogs for about 15 years. We had one of her paintings up in the Save the Frogs Education Center in Berkeley. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, we have a grants program. We give out funding to who? To people who want to help save the frogs and help us accomplish our mission, which is to protect amphibian populations and to promote a society that respects and appreciates nature and wildlife. And it looks like our first question has come in. Oh, yes, I was going to say we've been holding these grants discussions for at least a few years, in which usually during the grant application period, we will have one or two grants discussions where we can answer your questions and give you tips to become a better grant writer. Why do I care if you're a better grant writer? Because I want you earning, winning, being awarded more money for your amphibian conservation projects because that's good for you and it's good for amphibians. And I want the quality of proposals that I personally review and that the other members of our grants committee review to be better. Okay. We want to be able to review your proposal more quickly. We want to be able to say yes. We want to say yes, but we can only do that if you submit an excellent proposal or at least a good proposal at a minimum. And I want you to be a better grant writer because even aside from, say, the frogs, there are plenty of places to apply for grant funding from. I hope you don't think that, say, the frogs is the only place that you should apply for amphibian related grant funding from, because there are a lot of grantors out there. Many of them give a whole lot more money than Save the Frogs does. And what you learn at these meetings and in the Save the Frogs fundraising course, which is in Save the Frogs Academy, savethefrogs.com/academy. We have a fundraising course with the videos of all or most of these grants discussions posted there, probably 15 plus hours of videos. Yes, it's a big time commitment to watch all of those, but hey, you can watch one a week and you will be a much better grant writer, I'll say, if you watch them all. And if you apply for grants, you'll get the experience. Combine that a little bit of learning with a little bit of real life applying and hopefully executing the grant, the proposed activities, winning the money, executing the project, reporting on your project, and repeat, apply, win money, do your project, repeat. You will start to get more grant funding, bigger grants, better projects, and you'll become a better writer. All right. See what else is going on here. Oh, yes, the question from Zerihun in Ethiopia. I want to apply for a grant, but the system could not allow me because of membership. I applied for the scholarship membership, but my request is still pending. Please, would you help on this? Now, I actually approved applications for scholarships today. That is correct. You need to be a Save the Frogs member to apply for a grant. Oh, but I'm not a member. Okay, then go become a member. How are you going to become a member? You can go to savethefrogs.com/membership or directly to savethefrogs.com/donate and click that recurring donate monthly or donate annual option to donate to become a member, or you go to savethefrogs.com/scholarships and you apply for a scholarship with a well-written application that literally can take you like 5 minutes. And if you write actual answers, it's almost certain that it will get approved. But if you write like literally like one sentence or half a sentence into each answer, you can almost guarantee that I personally will deny the application. And one application got denied today. It's rare that I ever deny applications, but if someone can only write literally like 6 words for each of the questions, then I don't know if they're serious. That's the thing. Like, are you a real person? Are you a bot? Are you serious? Will you be able to contribute as a member in any meaningful way if you're unable to write more than one sentence when somebody is offering you a scholarship. Will any other scholarship donating organization on the planet ever approve anything that a person applies for if they only write one sentence? Probably not. So um, I'm not sure if that was you. I'm not saying it's you. I'm just saying today I approved everything that was in there. So I don't know what you mean. The request is still pending. Hey, maybe, in which case I'm going to go there right now or within an hour and approve everything. But if you happen to be the person who sent in like one sentence responses, then go reapply and actually take some time and put that in. And within 24 hours, your application will be approved. I know that within the like last week before applications for grants are approved, we get a lot of scholarship applications because people need to be a member. And therefore, I try to approve those things pretty quickly. I know it says, hey, give us 2 weeks to approve, but this time of year, I'll be approving quickly. So that's what I have to say about that. That being said, if you actually think that something got lost in the system, maybe something went to spam, I can also actually check into it momentarily. But I'm just saying that's kind of how things work with scholarship approvals. If a person writes something and it looks like they're serious and they care about amphibians and they took a few minutes of their life to apply, it's going to get approved. And if they didn't, then it may not. All right. Would you ever guide us to some other promising grand tours? Margot, do you mean what other organizations? Hey, wouldn't it be good for everybody out there, including Save the Frogs, if we had a list of other grand tours? Yes, it would be. Why don't we have that? Hey, I don't know. I guess I haven't thought about it. Usually I'll just tell people, hey, you should probably apply for this or that. But yes, we should probably have a list. And a good thing, who are the people most likely to know who those other grant tours are? They're past grant recipients, because chances are a grant recipient from Save the Frogs has, we'll say, a higher chance than other people of having received money from other grand tours, and therefore they would know the names of them. But I'll go ahead and say the one that comes first in my mind, because they give out so many amphibian related grants. And also, it makes me think, hey, we shouldn't everybody go apply for them. You could, maybe they want that. Maybe they seek as many applications as possible. Maybe they have unending amounts of money. Um, but know that you'll have a lot of other amphibian related competition. There's Rufford Small Grants based in the UK. I'll chat it in here. Rufford Small Grants. And they're not really that small, because I think they're like 5,000 for the first application or the first one you win, and then maybe you can do a follow-up that's at the $10,000 level. I'm not sure about these numbers. I'm just from memory. I'm taking my best guess and saying, so for me, that's a big grant. And I think most people out there would be pretty happy getting a $5,000 grant application approved. Rufford Small Grants. Then the ASG, I think that's what they're called, Amphibian Specialist Group. Um, they give out awards. I'm not sure what their timing is, or if it's just kind of one-off things they announce, like, hey, everybody, right now we've got some grants happening. I don't know if it happens on a cycle like ours, but I'll say ASG. How about I just go to their actual website? I don't want to give out incorrect information. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not ASG, it's ASA. They may be related. They probably are. I should probably know that. Amphibian Survival Alliance. And there it is, amphibians.org. Hey, that's a easy website. Hey, I like organizations that have not only help amphibians, but have good website URL domain names that are easy to remember. So there it is. Amphibians.org is the Amphibian Survival Alliance. What was that note I just saw? Something flashed up of relevance on their screen, I think. Okay, maybe not, but copy that out. Amphibian Survival Alliance. So they definitely give out occasional money to amphibian conservationists. And I'll say the Mohammed, excuse me if I write some names, if I spell names incorrectly, Mohammed bin Zayed Single Species Conservation Fund or something to that effect. They give out money for single species conservation. What's that mean? That means you have chosen one species, and their other requirement is that it's a IUCN listed threatened species, meaning VU vulnerable, EN endangered, CR critically endangered, or probably EW extinct in the wild. So you have one species in mind, and it's an IUCN red listed species, we'll call it. All right. If you're working on habitats in general, like we're going to build ponds for a huge group of amphibians, but none of them are IUCN listed as threatened, then they're to the best of my knowledge, maybe they've changed, I don't know, but in the past they would not fund that kind of thing. All right. Now there's also a group with a German name, and I can't remember the full name. So let me go put in the part of it that I remember, and we'll say amphibians and see if we can come up with the name. And we have it here. So Stiftung Artenschutz Species Conservation Fund. And here it is. I'm putting these in the chat. All right. Stiftung Artenschutz. That's Stiftung. Type that in with amphibians in your search engine and you'll find it. And I know they've given out money. Now, the last two of these are not amphibian specific. They'll fund, I'm assuming, other non-amphibian phylum. Phylum is chordata. Sorry, it's the class Amphibia. They'll fund other types of wildlife stuff, I'm pretty sure. All right, so I'd start there, but also perplexity. I like for doing research. Is this research we're doing? Yeah, we're doing research. Our research question is what organizations fund amphibian conservation? So who's going to do your research? You can do it, or you can pay a secretary to do it, or someone, research assistant, or you can get a volunteer to do it, or you could open up Perplexity. I like it. There's an app on my phone. What's it called? Perplexity. And I like it for research. When I have a question like, hey, what's the answer to this? Or help me get this, help me research this thing. I would type it in with as much info as you have. I'm looking for organizations that fund amphibian conservation work. Or if you're Margot and you're not specific to amphibians, maybe you are, but you have to think about what type of organization would fund the stuff I do, even if they've never mentioned amphibians, maybe, but Margot likes to build wetlands. So maybe you're not just looking for amphibian related organizations, you're also looking for wetland funders. Okay. Hey, which makes me think wetlands. Who funds wetlands? Well, who has funded wetlands? I'll say the US FWS. All right. That's the US Fish and Wildlife Service and similar type governmental organizations that could be local, city, state, county, federal. And that, of course, changes, we'll say, year to year, who's giving out money for those kind of things. But yeah, Perplexity should name some organizations, or you just go to your favorite search engine and do it however you normally research things. But also find the sites that compile the list of grantors, which could be free sites. I would start with a search for like, what website is dedicated to listing out environmental grants? Because there's certainly a website out there that is just like, here's a bunch of environmental grants. Now, aside from that, you could pay a grant database company I don't know what the official term for such a company is, but if you are a 501, if your 501c3 public charity, Margot, wants to get a discount on one of those, then you can definitely do that. And where would you do that? It's possible that TechSoup, which I'm almost certain you know about, would have that as one of their offerings, a discount to one of those databases. What are the databases? I think of, I'll put TechSoup may have discounts on Grants Watch, I think is what one of them is called. Grant Watch, maybe. Hey, let's put it in to the search engine and get the actual name. I'm going to put Grant Watch, and yes, grantwatch.com, grants for nonprofits, businesses, and individuals. So Grant Watch probably has something. There's a competitor to Grant Watch too with a similar sounding name, and they both do the same basic thing. And you either pay for it. I don't know. We had it 1 year long ago. It was maybe $100 for the year. And what's that do? It has a database. It lets you search, like, show me all the grants that fund New York State organizations or frogs, amphibians, wildlife, or environmental education, or wetlands that are over $5,000 or whatever. You can change your booleans, whatever they're called, your and ors, and do your filter, and it'll have a huge list. Well, I mean, who knows how many come out in the result, but it's got a pretty thorough list. I wonder if Save the Frogs is in there of grant making organizations. I'm going to also give a shout out right here to the Grantsmanship Center. Let's see if they're still around. They had an office in downtown Los Angeles, and they are the Grantsmanship Center. I'm going to put their URL here because I took their 5 day course. I think it was 5 days, may have been 2 days. I can't remember really, but it was in person at their offices in Los Angeles. I took that in about 2010 or 2011, and I learned a lot, and they're really thorough. That's all they do. They're a, I believe, nonprofit. Hey, maybe they're a for-profit. I can't remember, but they're an organization dedicated exclusively to training people how to write grant proposals successfully. Margot, does that help? Anything else there? Um, Margot, I believe, attended my lesson that's up there in the Save the Frogs Academy fundraising course, and it was probably 2 years ago. I gave a lesson on how to use one of my all-time favorite pieces of software. It's free, Airtable. Go to savethefrogs.com/airtable to sign up. I'll put that in here. And I taught a lesson on how to use Airtable to create a grants management database. Hey, Margot's still using Airtable. I've used it just about every day, or I'll say if I'm at my computer, I use Airtable. I'm not going to get on my computer to work and not use Airtable. Unlikely, assuming I'm connected to the internet, because this is a nonprofit organization. We have to be organized. How do you organize stuff? And what is the stuff that you will organize? You're going to organize data. Oh, but I don't have any data. You have data no matter what you do. And if you don't now, you will soon. And if you're running an organization or a laboratory or a project, you have data. You collect data. What are you going to put your data in? A database. What's the best and easiest to use database? Airtable. So anyway, I have a lesson in there on how to create a grants management database using Airtable. What's that mean? Grants management. Well, it would be all of this stuff. You'd have a table in there that's who are all the potential grantors of relevance to you that you have heard of. Name, URL, when they have their applications, how much they give, what they fund, what geographical region they fund, etc. And every time you hear about a relevant grant, you put it in there. Every time you apply for a grant, you have it in the applications table that you would have created in there so that you can track. On this date, I applied for this grant from this organization. It was approved, rejected. How much money did I get? When is the due date of the report? Have I submitted the report? Did they acknowledge receiving the report? Did they create a website about my project, etc.? And maybe that sounds like, oh, I don't need that yet, but one day you will. Say you submit one proposal every quarter, okay, 4 applications a year. Few years go by, you got 12 of them. I don't know. Maybe you have more. Hopefully, if you depend on grant funding, maybe you should be applying for one thing every single month. Then all of a sudden you've got lots of data, and it sure helps to be able to go back. Hey, what was that organization that we won money from like 5 years ago? Because now they're relevant again, and it'll all be in there. All right. Hey, that was our second question there. Meanwhile, while new questions come in, or if someone wants to speak, hey, maybe I should take a look at who the participants are. If anyone new has shown up here, Sandra, can't remember seeing you on here before. Ruchira, hey, good. We got some various new people here. Momena, anyone out there, feel free to say where in the world you are or what your project is. If you have questions, if you need me to review anything, if you've won grants before, if you have any tips for grantees, then feel free to turn on your mic. We would love a review of the grant we submitted. Are you saying right now, Margot, that you would want me to open that up and do a live, no holds barred review of it?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
But I do have a tip for everybody is that you have to follow Kerry's instructions precisely, absolutely to the letter. He's very fuzzy.
Do it, yes. Though I'll say that I think we give a bit more leeway than a lot of organizations. Like if something is not followed, we're not like, boo, you're out of there. But a lot of organizations are. And that's why, in general, you should always follow the rules, read the rules, read them once or twice or 3 times so that you know exactly what's being asked for and expected of you. And let's see. Let me just do one thing here. Well, one, I've got to open up your application that was submitted, which I have not looked at, or I looked at like when things come in, I look like for like 10 total seconds and then eventually come back to it for a full review. All right, Sandra in Illinois. Hello. Let's do this. Right, here we go. We're gonna get Margot's application up here now. Margot already won one award this year for Save the Frogs Day funding, and good to look at
Feel
the
free to tell
grant.
them about that.
Okay, I will do that. All right, Margot has won multiple Save the Frogs grant applications and held multiple Save the Frogs Day um, events. And this year she raised money, part of it from Save the Frogs, but a lot of it from elsewhere too. Because, hey, another thing I should let you know, grants are not the only way to raise money. And I'll also say that I rarely apply for grants anymore. There was a time where I applied for them more regularly, but I'm able to have the option of whether or not I want to apply for grants because I know how to raise money from other sources, such as from individual donors, as opposed to a grant making body, such as a nonprofit organization or a government. So we have money coming in from other sources. And you probably should too, or think about it. Maybe you can, maybe you can't, based on I won't even say maybe you can't, like even individuals set up crowdfunding pages like GoFundMe, or I don't, not Kickstarter, but those kind of pages where you create a page. I'm so and so. I'm raising money for this. My goal is $2,000, and it'll say like 8 people have donated. Here's a thermometer. We're 60% of the way there. Better send out an email. Better thank my donors. Better encourage everybody to give. Okay, that's another way to raise money. So don't feel like grants are your only option. But if grants are what you want to do, then hey, you better get good at them. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen here. All right, Margot, tell me if you can see this showing up here.
Yes.
All right, so Margot has submitted this application, and this is the first time I've looked at it. She's requesting $2,000. Organization is a frog house. And we've got organization info. So I'll just say the first thing. Humans look at things and make an assessment. Boom. All right, consciously or subconsciously. I just looked at it. I've already got some assessment. Something has happened in my mind. And what has happened is it looks like an actual paragraph written with correct English, with correct spacing, and it's not all like certain famous people like to put up social media posts that are all caps and exclamation points and they look like crazy people. You maybe know who I'm talking about, but here everything's correct. Hey, look, there's an extra space right there, but that's it, fixed. So my first impression is good English, good grammar. It looks correct. This is something I'll be able to read through without too much difficulty. Good start. Now, as far as the actual content, organization info founded in 2018, granted 501c3 status in 2020. A frog house is devoted to amphibian conservation, environmental collaboration, public education on wetland preservation. Our mission is to protect amphibian populations while cultivating a society that recognizes nature's essential role in human health. We've restored habitats, including 3 vernal ponds with the assistance of Save the Frogs Tom Biebighauser of Wetland Restoration and Training, the Village of Pittsford, and community members. We've held annual events and workshops and engaged communities through initiatives like Save the Frogs Day, collaborating with schools and local governments to amplify our impact. Good. So I know, and remember, it's not just me. Like, hey, I know Margot, but the Save the Frogs grant committee, other members may or may not know her. So if you know me personally, that doesn't mean you can submit a proposal that's not really that good, because I know Kerry, no problem, because I'm not the only person who reviews these. And other people may or may not know you. All right, I'll add an R to Tom's name right there. I'm going to give a shout out to another piece of software here that I like, because we saw that Tom Biebighauser, who has a hard to spell name, his name got misspelled there. We can see right here, if I type T and then B, watch what happens when the B comes out. Oh, it didn't happen. Maybe it needs to be capitalized. Boom, it just expands. The text expanded, and then you save time and you reduce errors. How do I do that? The software is called Text Expander. Imagine that. So if I have something I write and rewrite all the time, the mission of Save the Frogs, do I really want to write out the mission of Save the Frogs over and over and over? Or can I just type mission STF and boom, there's the whole line. The mission of Save the Frogs to protect amphibian populations and to promote a society that respects and appreciates nature and wildlife. I just saved myself 20 seconds, no spelling errors, etc. So it's called Text Expander. That can help you save time and reduce errors. Okay, moving on. Organization URL. Check. The organization has a URL. They have a website. Do you have to apply? No. But does it look good that you do? Yes. And if I opened it, theoretically, it should open up. Don't give a URL to like that website that's like down or anything like that. But that looks good because I like organizations that have a URL. It shows the organization has gotten past the initial stage of we just like decided to start an organization. We haven't done much yet. Oh, well, you already built a website. Good. So you're a bit more advanced an organization than many. If you don't have it, that's fine. Do you have a social media, a primary active social media channel? Then put the URL for that there. Project title, build your own vernal pond kit. So now I can tell what I think the project's going to be about. Helping people build their own vernal pond kits. I would actually think that maybe she'd be providing the kits and then you'd build the vernal pond with the kit. But let's find out. All right, start date August, end date the 18th annual Save the Frogs Day, April 28th, 2026. So maybe something relevant's going to happen then that she chose that date. Final report due 2 months later. She chose that date. Executive summary. All right, everybody out there, I gave a presentation a couple weeks ago and it's up on savethefrogs.com/grants. I mentioned it, the ultimate guide to writing Save the Frogs grant proposals to writing successful Save the Frogs grant proposals. And in there, and you can get the slides also, go to the savethefrogs.com/grants, find that section that says click here to get the slides, download them, the PDF. There is a slide or two probably all about executive summaries, and it tells you exactly what I think should be in your executive summary. All right, so a frog house is requesting up to $2,000. I would just put $2,000. We're requesting $2,000. So I now know two of the most important things that should be in everybody's executive summary. Who are you and how much money do you want? Okay. Because what if I'm in a hurry and I look at the executive summary and it doesn't say who you are? Maybe that's fine. I can find your name somewhere else, but you didn't say how much you asked for. Like that's important. That's part of the executive summary is the most important info. That's part of the most important info. So good job there. A frog house is requesting up to $2,000 a new initiative for a new initiative to develop a kit to start a movement of home built national park vernal pond. So I'm not sure what that means because a national park to me is a federally protected property with national park status, but maybe we will find out later what that means. Nonetheless, we can tell the Frog House wants money to develop a kit that has something to do with vernal ponds, promoting biodiversity through backyard conservation. I'll stop you right there and say, hey, this makes me think of NWF, National Wildlife Federation, that has certified backyard habitat. And maybe you have that. I can't remember. But they have a long running program where they will certify somebody's backyard habitat and give them a sign that they put up there, and it helps kind of educate people, make people aware of the value of backyard habitat and conservation. This project is meant to encourage K-12 students, educators, and families to build small seasonal ponds known as vernal, ephemeral, or spring ponds in their own yards as a hands-on way to support pollinators and amphibians. The idea is inspired by Doug Tallamy's homegrown national park movement. Tom Biebikhauser's training in vernal pond construction, Save the Frogs board member Michael Horton and his spouse Kelly Gear during our Save the Frogs community building project, and of course, always Save the Frog founder Kerry Kriger, not to mention inspiration from the children who participated in the building, some of whom went home to create their own. All right, all that's cool, but a little off topic there, like who inspired it? Maybe, I mean, I probably would have included a URL for the homegrown national park movement so that I could know like what it's what that is, because I don't know, but at least I have the name here. Okay, but it did get a little off topic, like because I'm still wondering, like, what are the kits? Because when I think of a kit, I think of you're gonna build it, you're going to order a kit or be given a kit. You're going to have a kit that got received from the company or the nonprofit. You're going to open it up, put some things together, follow the instructions, do a few things, and boom, the result will be there. So what I'm thinking of is this kit is all the stuff you need to build your pond. So let's find out if that's correct. But I also don't have things like to develop a kit. So I guess this is kind of like R&D phase, research and development phase. You're not seeking money to build the kits and give out 10 of them and help the people implement them. That's what I'm guessing so far. All right, so I'll say executive summary could probably be a little bit better. Maybe now would be a good time for us all to go open up the slides on the executive summary. And why don't we do that? Because it is important enough to warrant that. So I'm going to go to my computer. I like to name files so that I can find them. I just type a search into the search bar, ultimate, and boom, folder, ultimate guide to writing successful, Save the Frogs proposals. Let's go ahead and open up the PDF. And we can come to page number, I don't have page numbers, but about a third of the way in, there's a page, and in big print, it says executive summary. Reviewers are busy. Your executive summary may be the only part of your proposal they have time to truly focus on, so make it compelling. 1 to 2 paragraphs is all that's needed. Use this space as your elevator pitch. If you only had 1 minute to describe your project, what would you say? Clearly and concisely include the name of your organization, the amount of funding you're requesting, what your project is, and why it matters. So I don't know if that was mentioned. Why does it matter? I would think one, wetlands are super important for amphibians, and two, people have trouble building wetlands or don't know how easy it can be. I think that's key here. When and where it will take place. So that's something I don't know. It'll take place in our office as we develop these things in our shed or a frog house, or it's going to take place out in, nature. I'm not sure who is involved, people and partner organizations. Maybe there's no one else involved. If so, it probably should have said that. But I think the when and where it will take place, that should have been in there because currently the executive summary was not thorough enough for me to really know what's going on just yet. All right, so let's go back here. That being said, again, we're still like, it's good English, it's good grammar, it's easy to read your sentences. So to me, all that stuff is important. About you, Dr. Margot Fass, Doctor of Medicine, serves as coordinator of a frog house, 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to amphibian conservation, habitat restoration, and community education since 2021. I don't think that's necessary to put there about a frog house because we already learned about your organization. So I think you could just save space. Like we've already learned about your organization. That being said, it's fine. It's all in this one sentence. Margot brings a distinct perspective shaped by her medical expertise, understanding the importance of ecosystem vitality to both our physical and mental health. She loves that amphibians are bioindicators, organisms that signal environmental quality and its effects on public well-being. She successfully led habitat restoration efforts, including the construction of 3 vernal ponds, plus a tiny frog pond and nursery on a frog house site for 7 years. She's conducted educational programs at a frog house and elsewhere, integrating conservation with community health priorities. Good, but what's left out here? You're not just the coordinator of a frog house, you're the founder. You took it upon yourself to start an organization dedicated to amphibian conservation. You also have plenty of experience with Save the Frogs. Oh, that comes next. Okay, Save the Frogs involvement history. I was going to say, hey, you didn't mention what's your relationship with Save the Frogs, but that's the next question. Save the Frogs involvement history. Well, maybe not, because here we see a frog house has partnered with Save the Frogs. So now you're going to say what a frog house has done. And I can't remember if we specified, yeah, your organization's past Save the Frogs experience. So it's in here, though. Margot's gone on 3 Save the Frogs eco tours, hosted both Kerry Kriger and Michael Horton in Rochester. I would probably go ahead and give titles, lest someone not know who those people are. We currently do. Okay. All right. So I think overall, though, between the two of these, probably in the about you, like you personally have been on the eco tours, you have volunteered in various respects, you have taken and passed the Save the Frogs 90-day challenge, and we could probably continue a list of things you have, you know, created books of frog art, etc. So I think you left stuff out. Maybe what that means is, Margot, do you have a bio written about you, specifically with all of your environmental accomplishments? I do, because I give a lot of presentations. People almost always want my bio. So long ago, I wrote up a bio and it's ready to copy and paste. If someone asks about me, boom, copy paste, it's ready to go. And stuff won't be forgotten like you forgot. Don't forget your accomplishments. Best way to not forget your accomplishments, have them written out so that in the future, copy paste. And then when you get new stuff, add it to it. What kind of stuff would you add to it? Hey, I've won X dollars or Y number of grants from Save the Frogs. Those are the kind of things that could be put into a bio or certainly into a CV, curriculum vitae resume. All right, moving on. Proposed activities. Let's get to the good stuff. Now, here, it could have gotten lost in the Airtable. Maybe it stripped the formatting. I'm not sure if there were bullet points. My first thing is, hey, I wish there were bullet points here. Proposed activities. So this is all bullet points. I don't think I usually see these come in as bullet points. I'm not saying you can't. Usually I'd probably expect it to be prose, if that's what it's called, writing, like paragraphs. But that's fine. Let's just go ahead and see. Develop an instruction booklet, a guide with illustrations. Okay. I probably would have put that last. Like, what is the thing that you're doing first? And then we need instructions on how to use it. But anyway, I get it. You want a booklet, cut as many, hopefully 9, 7-foot diameter circles as possible from the remaining materials of our Save the Frogs Day event, including 2 geotextile layers for durability and 1 eco-friendly waterproof layer. Clean and dry them and fold them into a neat, secure package. All right. First, for clarity, you're going to cut circles from the geotextile layers and whatever else. Whereas if you say, I'm going to cut circles from the remaining materials, that could be like anything, like posters or who knows what. So now I'm starting to get, I mean, this is something we never know. We didn't know before. Like, you actually have materials that you are going to use. You're going to recycle those materials essentially, or reuse, repurpose. Right? Purchase or have donated packets. I'd choose these things. You've got a lot of kind of like, make up your mind, cut as many, hopefully 9 7-foot diameter circles. I just go with your number. Purchase or have donated packets. That's kind of like bad grammar. I can't tell what that means. You're either going to purchase or you're going to be asking people to donate them packets of 6-inch ground clip staples for securing the pond's edges. The pond's edges. Yeah, so now we're getting into like details. With that, I still don't have a clear I still don't have a clear picture of what is this thing? What is the thing? And now it looks like you're actually making the packets. Like, you're going to have 10 kits ready to go. Maybe you'll be giving them out. I'm not sure. We're going to find out right now. But your executive summary, it should have been clear by now. Like, we're going to develop 9 kits. Whereas before it seemed like you were just doing the research. I could be wrong, but why do I have to wonder? It should have been stated. So let's keep going. You're going to basically, you've got these different things you need to put in the kit. Put together packets big enough for 1 5-foot diameter pond of ryegrass seed. Now the writing's bad. This thing is perfect to give to Chat GPT and say, clean this up, because this is not clean. Like, put together packets big enough for 1 5 diameter pond. I'm like, what kind of packet is big enough for a pond of ryegrass seed? How about gather enough ryegrass seed in order to fertilize 1 pond? So anyway, this whole thing, you could just put it in to Chat GPT and say, Here's our proposed activities, clean it up, give them bullet points, make it all nice looking. And I can assure you 100% it would come out easier on the eyes and easier to understand than what's in here. All right. Are we a grammatical organization? No, but it helps me understand things when stuff is easy to read. All right, native plant seeds. So I would have had this thing like we're going to create the kits. We're going to gather the materials. The materials include each packet will have enough seed for a 5-foot pond, 7-foot diameter circle. You know, just list out here's the I want to know like what are you're going to create an instruction booklet. What's in an instruction booklet when you open up one of those things from China and it's in a different language and you don't understand it and they have it all in pictures or whatever, that's fine. Otherwise, it's going to say inside this packet, you're going to get bullet point this, you're going to get that, you're going to get that, that, and that. And that's what I want to see right here. Really easy to read. Every packet includes this, that, that, and that. Boom. That would be super easy to understand. Now, assemble a few small sample DIY kits and test with small groups for feedback. So I don't know who this is. Like, who are these groups? Because you didn't mention, remember, executive summary should have said who's involved. I don't know who this is. And what's a few small sample DIY kits? Is the sample kit smaller than the kit, or is that the actual kit? Now I'm getting confused. Visit schools, local groups, and municipalities to assess Pittsford's conservation landscape. That had nothing to do with anything that's been mentioned before, because before you were just developing a kit. Now you're going out into the community, and not only are you going out into the community, but it's to do something unrelated to the kit. It's to assess the conservation landscape, community engagement levels, educational needs to tailor the project effectively. And I'm guessing you're not going to tell us the details of this. This then would take, we're going to visit 3 schools. Here's the schools. We're going to go for 1 hour. We're going to have 10 people there. They're going to be a mix of kids and teachers and the science teacher. And we're going to ask them this question, that question, that question. Like that's a whole other project, really. Use input to improve kit design instructions and components. Identify suppliers for the components like the liners and seats. And now we're back to the research. The research is where do we get all these things, which is a whole different thing than we're going to put it together. And I still now can't really tell, is your project about all of it? It's doing the research and putting it together. Maybe it is, but I somehow got confused along the way because it was not clear. Target Pittsford schools and families. Why schools and families? Like who's the most important one? Do they have to be a family? Does it matter if they have procreated or adopted kids or gotten married or anything? It doesn't at all. I'll just answer the question. You got to target who are the people? Schools, government, wildlife agencies, environmental nonprofits, landowners. Those are kind of the stakeholders, not, I don't think families, or it hasn't been explained why that would be the case. Via local media, social media, community events. Which community events are so much now? Now you went from simple project. It started out like you go back to the title. Let's go back to the title. What was the title of this project? Build your own vernal pond kits. Okay. That to me is saying, I'm going to teach you how to build your own kit. I would have decided what's the project. Determination on the how to create the ideal vernal pond kit. That would be like research. Or delivering vernal pond kits to 10 schools in the upstate New York area. That would be like, we know how to do it, and we're going to put the kit together and give them out. But you've now went from a simple project that's like one of those things. Remember the slides in the ultimate guide to Save the Frogs successful proposal writing presentation of mine? I've got a slide up there, 2 slides or 3 that are like, here's something that's simple, here's something that's complex. And we're not telling you which to do, but you rapidly went from a simple project that's easy to understand and implement and execute and report on to something that's complex, because now you've got like 5 or 6 different things that you're saying you're going to do. And at that point, when something blows up like that into so many things, I just have to assume like all these things are not going to get done because they're not even going to get all discussed in here. Maybe it's just like it got thrown in here and now I'm getting confused on what you actually think you can get done. All right, use social media teasers, email newsletter to schools, community boards to excite about the kit distribution. Who's paying for the distribution? Is that part of it now? Because here's a different thing. You don't even now it's saying like we don't know who's going to get the kit, which could be fine. Provide kits to the participants and launch the project with an inaugural event. I want to thank Margot, anyone who's willing to put your stuff up here for public viewing. And I know over the last 17 years of Save the Frogs, like I do this to give people advice. I don't ever want to come off harsh on people, like, you know, but I always try to give my honest feedback and what's going through my head when I'm reviewing people's writings, people's projects, people's, you know, publications or drafts and stuff like that. Um, and I say that because I see some bubbles showing up for the chat. I haven't read them, and I know Margot's probably muted, and she'd love to explain. And we'll get to that in a second. And really, I have another meeting coming up, so let me just say, let me say, can we start in 5? And I may have to go before we finish this whole thing. Okay. After distribution, offer follow-up workshops, share progress updates, and encourage participant sharing. So is that going to be included in the budget too, the workshops? And if so, I would want to see the whole, like, what's the agenda of a workshop? What's going on in a workshop? Because if I get 3 words, 4 words, offer follow-up workshops, I've got all of a sudden my mind just went in like 10 directions. And I know from experience that I'm not going to get any more info in this proposal, in all likelihood, related to like, what is this thing you just mentioned that you want to do? Because now you've got like this massive project, which can be good, but I've got a feeling that what's explained is not going to answer my question about how you're going to get all these things done. Like, let's just pick one thing. We're at the phase where you still haven't developed the kit. You're still wondering who are you going to get seeds from, and yet the proposal's all the way out to like, we're giving the kits out, we're following up on these people to see how their kits were, and I just have a feeling it should not be done in the same proposal. Gather input from kit users to identify successes and areas for improvement. It's all good thinking about what to do. It's just a little too big, I think, or a lot too big. Based on feedback and new insights, enhance future kit versions. Now we're like way ahead of ourselves. Now we're in like, you know, version, you're already on to like version 2 of the kit. Track metrics like number of ponds built, participant engagement, biodiversity improvements. I don't even know like what participant engagement is there. I thought you were going to build a kit so that they could build a pond and call it good. You built the pond. Success. You used our kit to build the pond. Use data and feedback to improve outreach and engagement for future initiatives. All right. Number of volunteers expected 10. Okay. Well, you do have volunteers listed down here. You say what they're going to do, support restoration, logistics, and outreach efforts, but I don't know if you're restoring anything. I thought you were just building the kits and people were going to get the kits and they were going to do the habitat creation / restoration. Number of participants expected 200. All right, the larger context of this project is to catalyze a grassroots conservation movement that empowers individuals, particularly K-12 students, educators, families, to actively participate in restoring biodiversity in their own backyards by building vernal ponds. I mean, that sounds like a good line for an executive summary. Like that's why is this whole thing even why have you even submitted this application? Because you want to catalyze a grassroots movement. Families, I'm still not sure if families should be there, like homeowners, landowners. Because does a family who rents and doesn't have access to being able to use land for this purpose, would they matter? to actively participate in restoring biodiversity in their own backyards by building vernal ponds. By developing and testing DIY pond kits with instructions, materials, and native seeds, a frog house aims to create an accessible, replicable tool for ecological education action. Project bridges hands-on science learning with conservation activism, integrating environmental literacy and family life, school curricula, community initiatives, staunching the fragmentation and vernal pond destruction occurring as capitalism grinds on. All right. Yeah, for context, I was more thinking about like, what's the context of this project with what are the other things that you do? This is kind of like why the project should take place. I would have put something more like, we built our own ponds, and this is our way of getting it out there. I would have kind of related it to what you've been doing already to what you want done, but I mean it's pretty good. Project team. Okay, so who is there? There's Margot and volunteers, coordinator overseeing it, designer, development. Hi, Margot. I don't know if you're trying to talk here. Um, Entertainment and events. I mean, that's not relevant unless you're going to explain what the entertainment is. That's completely unrelated to anything that has been mentioned before. Grant writer, sponsor solicitation. I can't remember hearing anything about sponsors for this. So remember, the more complex it gets, the more things are going on, and it's really hard to make sure that the application explains everything. That's why we usually want to just have a simple project, come up with one thing that you can fully explain and fully implement and fully execute, because it's just a whole lot easier for our minds to comprehend that than this thing, which is a massive project. It's good if you can accomplish a massive project, good, but it takes a lot of writing to explain how everything's going to work in a massive project. All right, location, Pittsburgh, beneficiaries, amphibians in Finger Lake. Here's some specific species there. Beneficiaries, people, Pittsburgh residents. Here I'd like to get a bit more specific. Like, this is where you should know, like, it's going out to the schools, or if they are families, like which families and why. Are you not even necessarily with names, but how did they get chosen? All right. Field surveys. Oh, there's going to be field surveys. Now there's manually removing invasive species. That's way off topic, I think. Like, that's a whole different deal. That's a whole different branch of science. We already have projects going for installing native trees and plants. I would have put that in the context. The context is, what's the context? In what greater context is this project happening? Well, we already have projects going for installing native trees. We hope to inspire local biology classes. So I can't tell if there are field surveys. I mean, there's not. So I wouldn't have put anything in here, because really you added info that doesn't belong here, and it's just gotten me thinking, oh, that was never explained, which is not something you want me thinking. Educational events. The Frog House has ongoing educational events in amphibian conservation, et cetera, et cetera. That goes back into the context that you have those things, but what are the educational events that you're asking funds for? We will be adding hands-on activities such as building a pond, using the kit, and water testing. I'm up to my 5 minutes, so I should probably go. Hey, our audience can be as small as 3. All right, so this is like not very well explained. Like, there either are or there are not educational events. And if there are educational events, I want to know what's the agenda, what's going on there, who's going to be there. The senior center, there was never anything mentioned about senior center or the importance of the demographic that would be found at a senior center. Educational materials, posters, and flyers, if we have enough money. So that doesn't really say something. You should, in your grant proposal, always assume you're going to get the money, because that's what you're doing. You're asking for money. And if you're going to make posters and flyers from someone else's money, then probably doesn't need to be mentioned here unless you explicitly say, we've got money. We're already doing posters and flyers, but we're not asking for that money. We've already found that money. Content, benefits of vernal ponds, etc. So I can't tell, are you asking or not asking for the posters and flyers? Because it didn't give any specifics there. So don't be really clear. Like, we're asking money for this, that, and that. And if you're not asking money for it, then ask yourself, do I really need to even mention it? All right, the major collaborators, good. All right, so a bunch of different, I mean, that's a lot of different collaborators. So make sure they are actually collaborating. Like, you got a Boy Scout troop here. Hey, that would be the people to give the kit to. Who likes kits more than a Boy Scout troop? Communications, social media, anything else you'd like us to know, budget details. All right, I don't have time to get into the budget. Who knows what we would find there? Hey, maybe we should do another Save the Frogs grants discussion. Um, See detailed budget, cost to numbers to consider, highest expenses for the liners, cost of one liner per foot. I thought you already had the liners. You were just using your leftover liners, is what you said at the start. The costs at this point are only our best estimates, as they always should be. You shouldn't really, I don't think you even need to say that. It's always expected that you've given your best estimates. The total is 1,989. Hey, feel free to round this up to 2,000. Hey, why not? I don't think you need to say that. Like, keep it, we'll say professional. All right, with all that, I want to thank Margot. We haven't even gotten her budget. I've just run out of time because I have another meeting and I'm late. But Margot, since I spoke that whole time and you were not able to say anything, you have anything to add or
Well,
say?
I put some things in the chat, but I just want to reiterate this is very, very helpful.
Good.
And the question is can I resubmit it with incorporating all your suggestions?
Yeah, generally speaking, you should always assume that when you hit submit, it's done and you'll never be able to change your application. But I am perfectly fine. If you want me, what would happen? I wouldn't merge anything. You'd
Right.
resubmit, and I'm just, when you tell me, I'm going to hit delete on that row and it'll be as if it never showed up there, that previous
Okay.
one. So
All
you're
right.
welcome to do that. And I do suggest, like, because as I said, like, I kind of can't tell what's going on. There's so much there.
Keep
Like,
it simple,
get it.
stupid.
You don't
Right.
even have to explain it to us. Like, hopefully we'll be back here in a month and I'll be saying, hey, Margot won, and here's what she's going to do, or here's a webpage about her project. Just think about, like, what are the important things you need to get done, and don't talk about a million other things. Just talk about, like, I would start with the money. You're asking money for something. What are you going to do with that money? Because all
Right.
those other things, like, if you're not asking money for those things, I don't need to know about them other than in the greater context. Here's other stuff we have going on that's related to it. Okay.
Okay. So just read the chats if you could later.
Oh, I
And
just looked at them. Yeah. But
yeah,
just,
and thank
I do
you a
suggest,
million.
yes.
Thank
Good.
you a trillion.
Okay, thank you
Thank
for
you a
taking part
gillion.
and for letting us have some real world application review, because hey, that's the stuff you'll never see anywhere else. I can't remember any other grantors. Hey, let's look at real applications we received and give you our actual thoughts, uncensored thoughts on them. Hopefully that was helpful. Everyone out there, hey, we're out of time. I can't guarantee we will have another of these events before the due date of July 1st. Maybe we will, because I like them. I think they're helpful, but I hope everyone got something out of this. Good luck with your grants writing, and that's it. I am Save the Frogs founder, Dr. Kerry Kriger. The video will go up in the Save the Frogs fundraising course in Save the Frogs Academy, savethefrogs.com/academy. Everybody, hey, mark April 28th, 2026 on your calendar, the 18th annual Save the Frogs Day, and see you again soon. Bye.
Thank you.